Some words were never meant to be spoken. That's what makes them dangerous. Neville Goddard knew it. He hinted, but he never shouted it, because if too many spoke this, reality itself would crack. But a few did. And when they did, money moved. Overnight. Not luck, not chance, a command. And here's the part no one told you. You've been using this command your whole life without knowing it. Every doubt, every sigh, every complaint, all of it bent reality, all of it controlled money. That's why the rich stay rich. That's why the poor stay stuck. This law doesn't care who you are. It doesn't wait. It doesn't argue. It obeys. And tonight, I'll prove it. Once you hear this, you can't go back. You can't pretend your words are weak, because you'll know every sound you make carries law. So, if you dare, stay. Because at any moment, you'll hear Neville Goddard's forbidden secret, the one line money cannot resist. You've been told money is slow, that it takes years of grinding, decades of sacrifice, that only the lucky, or the chosen, ever touch real wealth. That was the lie. Because the truth is, money is obedient. It has no will, no mind, no resistance. It doesn't stop to think. It doesn't weigh your worth. It doesn't ask if you deserve it. It listens. It obeys. Always. That's why some people wake up rich without warning. Why wealth seems to fall into the laps of a few. It isn't luck. It isn't talent. It isn't even intelligence. It's because they discovered how to speak the one line money cannot resist. They don't chase it. They don't beg it. They declare it. And it arrives. But here's the twist. You've already proven this law yourself. Think about it. Haven't you ever spoken something in frustration only to watch it happen? Said, "I never have enough." And somehow your money vanished? Complained, "It's always hard for me." And sure enough, it stayed hard. That wasn't coincidence. That was law. Because every time you open your mouth, reality takes notes. And money is the fastest servant. The wealthy know this. They may not tell you, but listen closely to the way they speak. They say things like, "Money flows. There's always more. I always win." And reality obeys. Meanwhile, the poor curse themselves every day. "I can't afford it. I'm broke." Money never stays. And reality obeys them too. The law doesn't care who's speaking. It doesn't pick favorites. It doesn't ask permission. It obeys whoever dares to declare. That's why this teaching was called forbidden. Because once you realize your voice has been law all along, you'll see the trail of destruction behind you. Every careless phrase that locked you in struggle. Every sigh that chained you to lack. And that's terrifying. Because you can't hide from your own words. They've already been creating. But the moment you see it, everything changes. Because if your careless words had the power to make you broke, then your deliberate words have the power to make you rich. And not someday. Now, overnight. Neville Goddard understood this. That's why he said, "Your word is law." He wasn't being poetic. He was describing a mechanism as cold and exact as gravity. Your words shape. Your words command. Your words bend reality. And that's the part that makes people afraid. Because once you know it, you can't go back to being casual. You can't joke about being broke without realizing you just signed the contract. You can't mutter weakness without knowing you just gave the order. Every word becomes heavy. Every phrase becomes binding. But here's the gift hidden in the terror. If weakness was binding, then so is power. If struggle obeyed you, so will fortune. And that means the moment you speak the forbidden line, money doesn't get a vote. It doesn't delay. It doesn't resist. It obeys. That's why people who whispered it woke up changed. Their bank accounts shifted. Doors opened. Opportunities appeared that should have taken years. They weren't lucky. They weren't chosen. They spoke what most people are too blind or too afraid to speak. And the result was inevitable. Now here's the warning. This isn't safe. This isn't casual. This isn't a positive affirmation you repeat while you doubt in secret. This is law. And once you declare it, There's no undoing it. Because when law is spoken, reality bends. That's why Neville's words have outlived him. That's why people whisper his teachings in hidden corners even now. Because they've seen the proof. They've seen money move as if pulled by invisible strings. They've seen wealth appear out of nothing. And they know. This is no metaphor. This is the machine of reality itself. And in a moment, you'll hear the forbidden line. But understand this. Once it leaves your lips, you'll never be able to pretend again. You'll never be able to say, "I'm broke," without feeling the weight of law in your mouth. You'll never sigh weakness without knowing you're signing the verdict. This is the point of no return. So listen closely, because the deeper we go, the closer we get. And once it's spoken, your life will never obey the same way again. Some people already know this truth. They may not call it Neville Goddard. They may not call it law of assumption, but they use it, and it works. I'll tell you about a man who whispered it once, and the next morning, his phone lit up with a payment he wasn't expecting. Not weeks later. Not after begging. Overnight. I'll tell you about a woman who spoke it before sleep, and the next day, a debt that had haunted her for years was suddenly cleared. No explanation. No logic. Money bent. And I'll tell you this, the people who use it never brag. They don't post about it. They don't shout it. Why? Because they know how dangerous it is. They know once it gets into the wrong hands, the world changes. That's why it stayed hidden. That's why Neville wrapped it in riddles. Because the crowd isn't ready. But you are here. And that means something. Because you don't find this by accident. You're pulled into it when your spirit is ready to remember who you are. Think about this. Every culture, every religion, every mystic tradition has whispered the same warning. Your words carry power. The Bible says, "In the beginning was the Word." The Egyptians spoke of Heka, the magic in the tongue. Neville stripped it bare. Your word is law. And yet, what do most people do? They joke about being broke. They complain about bills. They curse money like it's their enemy. And reality listens. It always listens. It always obeys. That's why the gap widens. The rich don't waste words. Even when they're down, they say things like, "I always bounce back." There's always more where that came from. And money bends to those decrees. The poor, without realizing, decree their own chains every day. I can't catch a break. I'll never be free. Money's always running from me. And reality doesn't argue. It doesn't debate. It just obeys. Now stop. Look back at your own life. How many times have you said something in frustration, and it happened? You muttered, "I knew this would go wrong," and it did. You sighed, "I never have enough," and the money vanished. You declared, "It's always like this for me," and it stayed like that. You thought it was bad luck. It wasn't. It was law. Every word you spoke bent reality into shape. Every careless phrase signed the verdict. And that's terrifying, because if your past words shaped the struggle you live in now, what will your next words create? Here's the part people don't get. The forbidden line isn't just about wealth. It's about identity. It's about stepping into the role of ruler, not beggar. When you speak it, you're not asking. You're not wishing. You're declaring. And money has no choice. That's why some who've tried it never speak of it again. They fear it. Because once you see how fast it works, you'll realize you were never waiting on money. Money was always waiting on you. And maybe right now, you feel that pull, that chill in your chest, that sense of, this is the moment I was meant to hear this. Good. That's the sign. Because the closer we get, the stronger the air gets. You can almost feel it pressing in. Because you know the reveal is near. And when it comes, you won't be the same. This isn't just about manifesting. It's not a vision board. It's not a prayer. It's law. And once you speak law, you can't undo it. So listen carefully. Every story you've heard so far is proof. Proof that this works. Proof that money doesn't resist. Proof that your own life has been echoing this law all along. And now, the only question left is this. Are you strong enough to hear it? Are you willing to carry the weight of it? Because when you do, nothing will ever argue with your words again. Every great secret has a price, and this one is no different. Because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Once you speak it, you can't undo it. That's why it was never shouted from the rooftops. That's why Neville spoke in riddles, in parables, in whispers. Because he knew most people weren't ready. Most people want comfort, not power. They want affirmations, not law. They want to beg, not declare. And that's why they stay broke. But you've made it this far. That means you're not like most people. That means you're ready to hear what others never will. Think of it like fire. In the hands of the careless, fire destroys. In the hands of the ruler, fire bends the world into shape. This forbidden line works the same way. If you speak weakness, it will burn you. If you speak fear, it will chain you. If you speak power, it will bow money itself. That's why I've warned you again and again. Because once you hear it, every word you say after will feel heavier. Every phrase will sound louder. Every whisper will shake your reality. And maybe you've already started to notice it. Since you pressed play, haven't you caught yourself replaying your own words? Thinking of that last time you cursed money? That last time you sighed, "It's never enough." And now you know why it stayed that way. Because you commanded it. That's the terror. But it's also the gift. If weakness obeyed you, then so will wealth. If lack bowed to you, then so will abundance. It doesn't matter how long you've struggled. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. The moment you speak the line, the real line, everything shifts. Oh, here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you ready? Are you ready to let go of begging, wishing, and waiting? Are you ready to carry the weight of knowing that your voice bends reality? Are you ready to speak like law? Because the forbidden command is closer than ever. And when it drops, you'll understand why the rich speak differently, why money bends to them, why fortune itself obeys their tone. This isn't theory. This isn't motivation. This isn't feel-good fluff. This is Neville Goddard's most dangerous truth, sharpened into a single sentence. And in a moment, you will hear it. This is it. The moment we've been circling. The one Neville Goddard hinted at, but never dared to shout. The reason you've felt the air tighten, the reason your chest has been heavy as you've listened. Because deep down, you've known. Your whole life, you've felt it. That words weren't casual. That the things you spoke in anger, in fear, in doubt, somehow always came true. And now, you're about to hear why. The forbidden line. The decree that bends wealth itself. The sentence that makes money move with no debate, no resistance, no delay. Are you ready? Listen. My voice is final. Money has no choice. Say it, out loud. Now feel it move through your chest. My voice is final. Money has no choice. Do you feel that weight? That pressure? That's law. Not a wish. Not a prayer. Not a fragile affirmation you repeat 100 times hoping it sticks. A law. Your voice is the gavel, and when it strikes, money obeys. Repeat it again. Slower this time. My voice is final. Money has no choice. Notice how different that feels compared to anything you've ever said about money before. It doesn't ask. It doesn't plead. It doesn't hope. It commands. It declares. It finalizes. And reality doesn't argue. This is why Neville said, "Your word is law." This is why Scripture said, "In the beginning was the Word." Because the moment you speak with finality, reality has no option left but to rearrange. Now imagine living this way. Every morning, declaring it once, not 20 times. Once. Because the law doesn't repeat itself. A judge doesn't beg. A ruler doesn't chant. They strike once, and the world obeys. So, tomorrow morning before you touch your phone, before the noise of the world pours in. Speak it. Declare it. My voice is final. Money has no choice. And watch what happens. At first, you'll notice small things. A conversation tilts in your favor. An unexpected credit appears. A stranger says exactly what you needed to hear. But then it grows. Doors swing open. Opportunities stack. Large sums of money appear where there was nothing before. Not slowly, not painfully. But like reality had been waiting, frozen, until your verdict was given. And here's the terrifying part. You've been doing this your whole life without knowing. Every time you said, "I can't afford it," law. Every time you sighed, "It never works for me," law. Every time you muttered, "Money runs from me," law, and money obeyed. But now you've been handed the forbidden key. Now you can flip the script. Now you can command. With finality, my voice is final. Money has no choice. And when you speak it, wealth bends, fortune kneels, reality moves, because nothing resists a final verdict. So here's what I want you to do. Don't just watch this video and leave. Declare it below in the comments. Seal it. Write it with your own hand so reality has to echo it. My voice is final. Money has no choice. Let thousands of us declare it together and watch the world shake beneath our words. And listen, this is only the beginning. Subscribe right now, because every message I bring here sharpens your authority, strips away the weakness, and reminds you of the throne you've always sat on. This is not motivation. This is law. And your voice is the lawgiver. So walk differently now. Speak differently now. Live differently now. Because forever you know the truth. Your voice is final. Money has no choice. And from this moment, wealth cannot resist you. Now you've spoken it. Now you've felt it. And if you're still here, you're one of the few who understands the weight of what just happened. Because once those words leave your mouth, you're not the same person. You can't go back to casual. You can't go back to weakness. You can't go back to muttering, "I'm broke," without feeling the sting of your own verdict. You've stepped into law. My voice is final. Money has no choice. That's not a phrase. That's not motivation. That's a gavel strike. And when it hits, reality doesn't argue. Here's what happens next. Tomorrow, when you wake up, the old voice will try to creep back in. It will whisper, "But what if it doesn't work? What if I don't deserve it? What if nothing changes?" And in that moment, you strike again. You don't beg. You don't reason. You don't spiral. You declare, "My voice is final. Money has no choice." And the fear dissolves, because fear is just another word, and words are powerless in the face of law. Now picture this. You're standing in line, looking at a price tag, and the old story rises. "I can't afford it." That's when you flip it. That's when you speak the verdict. My voice is final. Money has no choice. Suddenly, you're not the victim anymore. You're the ruler. And rulers don't ask permission. They command. This is why Neville's teaching has outlived him. Because once you taste this power, once you feel the shift, you can't go back to living like everyone else. You realize every sigh was law. Every complaint was law. Every careless phrase shaped your cage. But now you're free. Because now you declare wealth with the same authority you once declared struggle. And the difference is immediate. Listen, this isn't theory. People who have spoken this line wake up with unexpected deposits. Opportunities call their phone. Debts disappear like they never existed. Because reality bends faster than logic can explain. It always has. That's why this was called forbidden. Because once the masses realize it, the game is over. The illusion collapses, and wealth stops being rare. But here you are, hearing it, speaking it, living it. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, before you sleep, Don't just whisper it once. Feel it. Let it echo in your chest. Let it slam into the silence of your room like a verdict. My voice is final. Money has no choice. And tomorrow? Watch. Not with begging eyes, not with desperate hope, but with the calm certainty of a ruler whose verdict is already enforced. Because wealth is already moving, fortune is already bending, and large sums are already being rearranged in your favor. But don't keep it silent. Seal it here. Write it in the comments right now. My voice is final. Money has no choice. When thousands of us declare it together, this stops being a video. It becomes a movement, a ripple through reality, a storm of law bending money itself. Because when you write it, you're not typing words. You're stamping your decree into your life. You've crossed over. You've remembered who you are, the ruler, the lawgiver, the one whose voice is final. So walk differently now. Speak differently now. Because from this moment on, you know the truth. Your voice is final. Money has no choice. This isn't just a phrase. It's your verdict. Every word you speak from now carries law. Carry this into every room you enter. Declare it in the silence of your mornings. Seal it before you sleep. And watch doors open, wealth flow, and reality obey. Because once the gavel strikes, the case is closed. And your voice has just struck it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for daring to stay until the end. Because only the strong ever make it here. And now, the law is stamped on your timeline forever. Subscribe, because this isn't the last decree. Every message that follows will sharpen your authority, strip away weakness, and remind you again and again of who you really are. You are not a beggar. You are not a victim. You are not unlucky. You are the voice. You are the verdict. You are the law. And from this moment on, wealth cannot resist you. Because forever burned into your being is this truth. My voice is final. Money has no choice. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.